What's up, everybody? Victor here, and it's time for yet another nation guide, this one for Majapahit. Now, the first thing we're going to be talking about in this guide is, of course, the fall of Majapahit, the disaster that fires 1 month into your game. This disaster has 3 basic penalties that you're going to be facing, which you can see in front of you. All power costs go up by 15%. Your subject liberty desire in both vassals and tributaries also goes up by 15%. And lastly, your average monarch lifespan is cut in half, so they'll be dying pretty young. All of which are very annoying. The thing is like a lot of other tags that came out with Origins and Leviathan, your disaster also comes pre-equipped with events just to make your life a lot more annoying. These events are broken up into 3 broad categories. The good news is that they will individually stop once you complete these 3 missions before this 4th one here ends the disaster altogether. Seems pretty simple. The first kind of event is disloyalty to Majapahit. This one requires that you have a subject with over 50% liberty desire. And what it does is it gives them either 15% liberty desire or 5% if you pay 10 legitimacy. If you complete this mission, that event will stop. It will not fire anymore. The problem with paying the 10 legitimacy, however, is that this other mission right next to it requires you to have 90 legitimacy, and in a month when the disaster starts, you lose 50 legitimacy. You also lose 5 stability, which is just oh so fun. So you're going to obviously having to get your stability up, get your legitimacy back, and just to do that, the whole point of doing this is that so you don't have pretender rebels firing every time you have a new ruler take over. Now, while your heir is really bad, you still don't want to have pretender rebels taking over your country. And the reason why is because they will trigger more pretender rebels. So even if you get somebody decent, you'll have to fight more pretender rebels anyway. So instead of dealing with them, you want to try before your ruler dies to get your stability up by 5 and your legitimacy up by another 50 and no rebels, so you can at least get through this without any pretender rebels firing. The last one is about the spread of Islam throughout your country. And this is more of an event chain. And this one is not too difficult to get around, but I'll be talking about it later. But once you can complete these 3 missions, all of those events stop. And then the only thing you have to worry about is these penalties right here. With all of that being said, let's now continue with the guide and talk about the estates and privileges. As far as your estates and privileges are concerned, for the most part, this is a standard start. Go ahead and grant what you feel like granting that you're most comfortable with. There's nothing here that's absolutely required. There's a couple of recommendations I can make, though. First off, don't grant anything that increases your stability cost modifier. You have to buy 5 stability. Do not do this. Not until you have all 5 of the stability you're going to need. It's just not worth it. Second, religious diplomats, this gives you plus 25 opinion to every Hindu nation. And you start off with 4 tributary subjects, all of which are Hindu nations. So to help keep them loyal so you don't have these events firing, it is nice to have this privilege granted, but you don't absolutely require it. You will have 4.999% crown land no matter what you do, so you're going to have to dev something somewhere. So just throw something likely in your capital once you turn on encourage development. Lastly, even though I do have this bad heir right here, I have not granted the patronage of the arts for the increased prestige, and I'm not disinheriting this guy yet. That is why I have not granted the patronage of the arts yet. I will grant this once I actually disinherit him, and I will explain why I'm going to do it later when I actually do. So keep your guy around for a little bit. Yes, he is bad, and yes, there is a chance this person dies, but it's still better than getting rid of them and regretting it later. So with all that being said, you are now done with the estates and privileges. For your military, it's pretty quick and easy. You're simply going to merge your naval ships together, and you're just going to keep them there. You're not going to mothball them or do anything else with them. You're just going to keep them there because you're going to need them relatively soon. As far as your army, just hire 4 infantry. That's it. That's all you really need at the moment. You're just going to let them sit there for a bit because you're not actually going to be able to attack anybody in the immediate future. But with that being done, you are now done setting up your military. Do not hire a general. Just do not do it. But you are now done. Your starting rivals in diplomacy is going to be pretty straightforward. Brunei is always going to rival you. Period. Every single time they rival you. Sunda here rivals you most of the time, and what I mean by that is in the 30 trial runs I've done to make sure all this works, they've decided to not rival me all one time. So go ahead and rival them anyway, even if they don't, because you're going to have to attack them. But again, they're most likely going to rival you, so just rival them back. As far as your allies are concerned, that is a little different. You're simply going to pick relatively large people that you cannot actually get a claim on to be your allies. So Barao over here, I'm going to ally them. And then I'm simply going to go in here and I'm going to Royal Marry Banjar, and I'm going to Royal Marry Palembang. Yes, they are going to now tie up diplomatic relation slots. However, at the end of the day, you're keeping them slightly more loyal in here where it's absolutely going to matter here in a month. Now, simply unpause, wait till your diplomats come back, and get more allies where you can. Barua here is perfectly fine, and then Indrapura, I can go ahead. No. Yeah, I'm already at my limit. And with that, you'll be fine. You don't need any more allies at all, period. Simply get your diplomats back, and then start fabricating claims on both Makassar here, and Sunda, and Sambas. They are your options to start attacking. And now you're simply going to wait. Wait till you have these claims down. If you want to make it be a little less time, turn on the merchant here into hostile trading, and bring the other one over here from the Philippines, because really, you're not doing anything there anyway, to increase it over here as well. With that being said, I'm going to pause the recording because I actually need to wait until all of that happens, but as you can see here, the fall of Majapahit just triggered, and as you can see, things get really, really bad. So just be aware, it's going to be bad. Now, if you decide not to Royal Marry Banjar or Palembang, they may become disloyal. Remember, they are tributaries, so with simple money, just throwing money at them, you can buy down their liberty desire. Do not be afraid to buy down their liberty desire this way, because the last thing you need is to have the events firing that drives up their liberty desire, requiring you to pay them even more. So just, it's fine if you need to do it. So I will see you guys in a little bit once I have my claims down. And welcome back, everybody. So this event fires fairly quickly in your game, and this will give you a general. Absolutely take him. The 10 legitimacy is absolutely not worth this. The reason why is this guy is actually tied to a secondary event that will fire that can give you some really nice bonuses. So definitely take him and put him in charge of your army. Now, if you were paying attention to what that actual event said, is that you need to win 5 battles with this guy. And that's what we're going to be using Makassar over here to do. You see, it's going to be pretty simple. Once we have a claim down, we're going to attack them, and we're going to attack them and attack them again. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording because it's going to take a little bit just for me to get the claims down. So I will, in fact, this won't take nearly as long as it should. So I'm just going to let this play out, and then I'm going to get the claim down and then declare. So give me 1 second here while I do exactly that. There we go. And now I can actually declare on them, and if they have allies, make them tributaries. If they are alone, make just Makassar a tributary. But it's pretty simple. Oh, gotta get my stability up. And if you do have a stability cost advisor, even if it does make you lose money, it is absolutely worth it. But now I'm able to declare, so I'm just going to walk in and to gauge their forces and wipe them out. They will start building troops in their province. Let them. You don't need to win pitched battles. You just need to win a fight against somebody. That's it. That's all you need. So don't actually occupy their province if you don't have to. And let this play out as long as you possibly can. Let them retreat. If you want to hunt them down, you can. Just make sure that if they're recruiting somebody here, walk into them as soon as you can, because you'll instantly wipe them out, and it counts for one of the 5 battles you are required to win. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording again, because I'm just going to go back and forth here until I hit 5, and I'll bring you guys back when it is time. See you then. And welcome back, everybody. So as you can see, I'm in the middle of a pitched battle with some native tribes, and here's the thing. This is the 5th battle with that general, because I got into 2 battles with Makassar troops, 2 with the native tribes, and as long as you're fighting anybody, even rebels, it counts towards those 5. Once you get into the 5th battle, or you know you're going to get into the 5th battle, now is the time to disinherit this heir, because you don't want him there. But the reason why you're doing this is because this general that you have, if you have no heir, or if you have no consort, he can become either one of those things. As you can see right here, I now have a 4-3-2 heir simply because I lack one. The reason you don't disinherit this guy at the beginning is because between then and now, you may get another heir who's going to have low legitimacy, and you don't know what the stats are going to be. This one's also random, but at least he's high legitimacy. So if nothing else, you have that. Second, whether you take him as an heir, a consort, or just generally you get the 5 battle wins, you get 1 stability, 25 legitimacy, and if you do not take him as a consort or an heir, you get 25 prestige. So it's still a nice thing to do no matter what. So if you get a normal heir, go ahead and keep them. Just be aware, you're not going to have this guy being an heir, but you'll have the prestige instead, or you can use him as a consort. And with that, now I have somebody better than the old heir. As far as Makassar here, I don't need to go any further. See, all I need to do is have just enough to end up making him a tributary. I do not need to actually vassalize him, and that's it. Because this will give me the 5 I need, and yes, he will be disloyal. But I simply throw some money at him, he will become loyal, and I can complete this mission, stopping my vassals from becoming disloyal. If he is eaten by Bone right here, I simply go in and make Bone a tributary, because I'll still have the claim on this province. If then after that Luwu goes in, I'll make Luwu a tributary. And if Bone has allies, great, I'll take them along with them. And then after that, Luwu, I'll take Luwu's allies, in this case, Ternate. So there is a bunch of people you can end up grabbing as tributaries. And you want to tributize these people, not vassalize them, nor conquer them. The reason why is once you're out of this disaster, and you have at least 6 tributaries with under 20 liberty desire, which again, just throw money at the problem, and they're going to instantly be converted over into normal vassals with negative 100 liberty desire added to them. And that is going to be with the minus 10% liberty desire for 20 years that I just got here. So you're going to have really loyal vassals that you're going to be able to use to expand really quickly into places like Sunda without having to actually worry about much, because they'll be giving you money and they'll be giving you force limit, and yeah, you'll be fine. So with that being said, I'm going to have to pause the recording again because I need to get a little bit further, because it's time to then wait to get this one done and then the events for Protect the Faith. So I'll see you guys in a little bit. And welcome back, everybody. So this event that you see in front of you is actually the triggering event for all of the follow-up Spread of Islam events that Protect the Faith will stop. So until this event fires, you will not see a Spread of Islam event. So you have about 4, 5, 6 years before you'll actually start having to deal with them. So what does this event do? You have 2 options. The top one gives you 500 ducats. It makes those events start, and it changes Damak, which is this province up here, to Sunni. Seems simple enough. Now what these events do, these Spread of Islam events, is it'll make one of your provinces at random Sunni. The thing is that it doesn't care what the province is other than not Sunni. So if you just converted a province, it can flip it back to Sunni. And yes, that is extremely annoying when it happens. The second option that you have here is you'll get a mercantilism, but you lose global trade power of 25%, so you'll make a lot less money, and you lose a diplomatic reputation for 20 years. However, none of these events, nor Damak, will fire, so you will not have to deal with them at all, allowing you to click this button in another 5 years without any issue. So what's the actual problem with this? Because you can either take 500 ducats and convert, or what? Here's the thing. That's not the only events that can fire. If you have below 75 legitimacy and Damak, or this province here, which I'm not going to try and pronounce because I'll probably get it wrong, If they ever flip Sunni and you have below 75 legitimacy, they can fire another event where they create their own country. If Damak ends up breaking free, these 4 provinces right here break free, and you have to fight to get them back. If it's this province down here, it is these 4. So this one ends up going both directions. And if both fire, you only have 3 provinces to yourself, and you have to fight both of them to get it back. Obviously, that is not ideal, having to bother dealing with 2 breakaway states, all because you wanted 500 ducats. So if there's any chance, and I mean any at all, you're going to have below 75 legitimacy before you're able to click this in 1454, do not click the top button in any circumstance. It's not worth it. However, if you don't care about having to convert provinces and all the problems that can go with that for the next 5 years, you can go ahead and take the 500 ducats. Whether you think it's worth it will be up to you. For myself, I don't care. So I'm not going to take the 500 ducats because I'm already making 3 ducats a month. I really don't need it, but it's up to you what you want to do. With that being said, it is now time to simply wait, get my manpower back up, and then go and make Sambas a tributary state as well. And with that, it's time to just chill until I'm able to actually finish off with my disaster and move on from there. So I will see you guys when it's time to finish the disaster. See you then. Oh, and I just want to point out that for this mission, do not wait for your ruler to die to get high legitimacy. It's not worth the Pretender Rebels. Just buy your stability up, and then use Strength in Government, and buy yourself some legitimacy. You're already going to get about 25 just from the 5 battles from my now heir winning those battles. So it only takes 1 or 2 usually to buy yourself up enough, maybe 3. And it's not really worth the Pretender Rebels to avoid 300 military mana, especially since you're not really using any mana early game. So I'll see you guys in a little bit. And welcome back, everybody. So at this point, I am now out of the disaster because I simply waited until I could click the 2 buttons. And on top of that, I now have Barao as well as Sambas over here as tributaries because they were allied to one another. Now I simply need to get myself having all of these guys under 20 Liberty Desire. And how do you do that? Simple. The power of money. You can click this, giving them 15% less Liberty Desire up to 100% less Liberty Desire. So just make certain you have enough to actually get them low enough, and then eventually you can click the button and turn all of these guys into normal vassals that will be called into your war, and then they will punch people for you. Now, I don't have the ability to do it now. I still need to get more money. However, as you can see from my actual troop count here, that was some pretty devastating wars, and the reason why is because they get to Tech 4 before you can, because you still had the disaster going, which gave you plus 15% power cost, meaning there wasn't an advantage to you clicking this early. Now that it's done, I actually can, making it so I'm able to fight people at Tech 4. But if you don't hire the other mercenary stacks like I did, Sunda will usually attack you because you're pretty weak if you're going for these extra tributaries. And you usually have to because you need to get 6 for this. So just be aware you're going to have to hire extra mercenaries just so they think you're strong enough to not attack you. That doesn't mean you're not able to simply drop the maintenance down to keep earning money so you can keep buying loyalty. Just be aware to hire them so that they look at your army and go, no, too close, and back off, at least for a while. With that being said, I'm going to pause the recording because I need to let money come in, get these guys loyal, improve relations, do all the things I need to do. And just in case you weren't aware, you can still develop in their provinces, and every development click you do is 5 Liberty Desire knocked off of this amount. So while you can't use prestige here, you can use money, you can use monarch points if you really want to. So don't think it's going to be that long to get these guys under control. So I'll see you guys in a little bit. And welcome back, everybody. So it's been a couple of months, and now that I have them all loyal, because again, it really doesn't take very long, and I realized I needed to seize land because it was still really low, kind of driving up this liberty desire. Now I'm able to click this button, and they'll flip over into normal vassals. Yes, they look disloyal for a second, and now they're super loyal. Be aware, as you can see in here, they do have that 10% extra bonus loyalty from this mission. So just be prepared for it to bump up a little bit a couple of years down the road. Now that I have these guys, as well as these guys, and these guys, and these guys, and these guys, I have so many guys out there that'll help me fight, this really shouldn't be very difficult. And during that time, you should get as many claims on them as you can, as that way it's easier to core it, it reduces your coring cost. It'll also make so the unjustified demands will only actually hit you and cost you Diplo points for the one province you can't actually get a claim on. So now that I'm actually ready to go, I'm going to raise up my maintenance and declare, even though I'm probably not actually going to have to do any of the fighting, because these guys should actually be able to handle most of Sunda. So I'm going to go ahead and let this go ahead and play itself out, and I'll bring you guys back once I am done with Sunda, because at that point it's time to talk about what you're doing once you've secured your vassals and how you expand moving forward. So I'll see you in just a second. And welcome back, everybody. So that war is now done, and I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this guide here because there's not a whole lot else to show you, and you guys have enough information to go ahead and play your own game. Now here's the thing. You are a mandala government. That means that you can concentrate development, and you will not actually lose any of that development in transit. So you're able to move the development from what you've just conquered, or from your vassals, or even after you've integrated them before you stayed it up, into your capital with no losses. So you absolutely should be doing that. One of the reasons why is you actually have a mission in here where you have to get your capital up to 50 development. And it's a very nice thing to do, especially before you start dev pushing. So if you can do that, absolutely do so, and concentrating development is a wonderful way to accomplish it. That's the first thing I wanted to talk about. The second thing is that, again, you are a mandala government, which means you want to be using vassals as much as you can. And the good news is that in your mission tree, you get a special CB once you do enforce loyalty against everybody of the Malay culture, which is right in here. Everything that's brown. So up in the Philippines, and Brunei, Sumatra, all of these, you're able to use a special CB called Majapahit campaigns. What this does is it allows you to vassalize, either as a tributary or as a normal vassal, for cheaper, with less aggressive expansion or war score cost, with a maximum war score cost of 76%, regardless of size. In other words, if you had this available against, say, Ayutthaya, they could be all of this, and you'd still be able to force vassalize them for 76 war score. And you can, actually. Once you get down to here, it's against everybody in the Chinese tech group, and then once you finish the last mission, it's against everybody in the world. So you can use this against Ming, against Spain, against France, against anybody you want. They won't necessarily be loyal, but you can absolutely do it to them. Here's the problem. It also tells you you can take land for less aggressive expansion. What it doesn't tell you is that you must vassalize them either as a vassal or a tributary in order to take any actual provinces. So you cannot full annex them, but more importantly, you're spending a lot of war score to vassalize them to take their land. So that's not actually a good way to expand early on, especially since if you vassalize anybody with all of this in here, they're going to be disloyal. There's no way around it. They're going to be disloyal. They're going to fight you eventually, and somebody's going to support their independence. Instead, you need to expand through any way, not through vassalizing people. The easiest way to do that is your vassals, because they have claims everywhere. Use them as much as you possibly can. Whether you feed it to that vassal or not is up to you. Just be aware that the people you just attacked and force vassalized as a tributary and then converted over, they have a lot of opinion malices with you. If you feed them their claims, they will get opinion bonuses with you, making it so it's easier to annex them. So feeding Brunei to Sambas and Barao, as well as Kutai here, can be beneficial, Whereas Palembang, since there's no opinion malice here, really, that's not absolutely required. You can just pick them up later. So just focus on getting these guys annexed, and then eventually you can turn to force vassalizing people that are much larger later on, and use whatever claims you can. I did take this land directly because there's nobody over here that I have as a vassal or a tributary, so I'm going to conquer up this direction myself, and then wrap back around, because again, not a real reason to feed Palembang any of their claims, though using their claims to start the war, definitely an option. Now you do have a couple of other missions in here other than just an amazing CB. You have some colonization ones here that'll let you fill in these empty slots for provinces a lot faster without using any actual colonization ideas. So you do not necessarily need exploration or expansion, because all you need is one colonist, and you have that in your national idea set. So you're going to be able to drop these guys down and have about 70 colonists arriving every tick or every year. So you should be able to colonize these provinces very quickly without colonial ideas. You may still want them, however, because there's a lot of islands out in the Pacific as well as Australia, and you can even run down to South Africa, block that off, and then the Europeans can't really pull any trade out of you, because they'd have to pull it out of here and out of there before they can get it out of your grasp into West Africa and take it from there. So you're going to be able to stop them from trying to steal your trade, let alone colonize all of the islands in the Indian Ocean as well. And then on top of that, you can then start expanding into Africa using your lovely, lovely, lovely CBs. The last thing I wanted to talk about is the Porch of Mecca. The first mission up here simply is pretty quick. You'll get a Buddhist deity in here, but it just gives you tolerance of heretics, I believe, and advisor cost reduction. So not exactly important. What is important is the Porch of Mecca, because once you can complete this mission, which simply requires there to be no one in the Islamic group in this area. So the Philippines is irrelevant. This area is kind of irrelevant. It just has to be nobody that is Muslim in that area. And you'll be able to then use the propagate religion for yourself as a Hindu country, and it works against Muslim provinces. So you'll be able to force the Islamic faith out of the Middle East if you choose to. All you need to do is get 50% trade power in the region. And if you don't think that will cause chaos, it absolutely will. It also works against anything non-Christian and non-Jewish. And non-Hindu, because you're converting it to Hindu. So there's a lot of provinces in the world you can use this to either convert to make your own provinces more secure, or to convert to cause some damage to. And it absolutely is worth doing it too. The last thing I want to say is about the Philippines, and that's because there are these empty provinces here. However, the Philippine tags actually have a mission in their mission trees, where if they conquer the north or they conquer the south, these empty provinces are actually ceded to them and given cores for them. Meaning you don't have to colonize this stuff. You can just, say, vassalize Marius, feed them the rest of the land that's occupied in the Philippines, and they'll just get the rest of it, and then you can integrate them. Whether you choose to do that or you colonize it yourself is up to you. However, it is absolutely nice to not have to bother with it, because again, if you're not taking any colonization ideas and you're relying on just this guy, you won't have many settlers outside of these specific areas for your mission tree. So having them there will definitely be nice, because yeah, it's just a lot faster. But with all of that being said, that's all you guys need to know to play Majapahit and have a lot of fun, especially once you really get rolling and you can start dominating. The only worry you really have is Ayutthaya, because once you get to this part of the mission tree, you actually have to form Malaya, and Malaya requires you to have this province right here, so you must fight Ayutthaya before you can form Malaya, before you can get them as a vassal, because in order to get them as a vassal using the Majapahit campaigns, you have to finish the mission that requires you to be Malaya. So you're going to have to fight them, and usually they will expand quite substantially, meaning they're your first real fight. Once that's done, though, you're going to start force vassalizing all of Southeast Asia, Ming, and all the people that spread out from Ming, all the way up here into the north, except for the northern nomadic tribes. Even Japan and Korea, you can use this on. Meaning, there's a lot of people out there, even before you get to the bottom one down here, that you can use it on. And then once you start going into Europe and forcing England to be your vassal because you just burned London down, yeah, it's pretty fun. Just be aware, the war goal is the capital. So if you don't have the capacity to reach their capital, I wouldn't recommend using it, if for no other reason that you're going to be fighting against losing war score from the ticking war score. But with that being said, you guys should be good to go. This is an amazing, fun country that a lot of people just don't play because it came from Leviathan, that they really, really should, because it's been fixed. If you like this kind of content, like and subscribe. I'll definitely be making more nation guides. I'm also making mechanic guides right now. You guys will be seeing these coming out in a little bit. However, if you guys want to see other nations or other mechanics be covered, please let me know in a comment below. I'm always looking for more things that you guys want to see, because otherwise it's just whatever I think you guys want to see, and that might be wrong. So please let me know in a comment below. But with all of that being said, thank you guys for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day.